Good afternoon, everybody. It is afternoon. It is. Welcome to this Thursday's and the last of the year Clear Path Leadercast. We do these every Thursday going live, talking about different topics that are important for leaders as they grow and develop. My name is Craig Anderson. I am a leadership confidence coach for accidental leaders, people who found themselves in leadership roles, either as business owners or as corporate people who suddenly found themselves moving up and are really trying to identify what their leadership style is, who they need to be a successful leader, and how to align who they are with the leadership style they're trying to achieve. So, today, what we are going to be talking about is how to level up your leadership as we get into 2022. I'm a big video game guy. I've always enjoyed it. And there's nothing better than that ding when you level up. You don't always get that audible sound when your leadership style improves, but you will see it in the results. You will see it in the people that you are choosing to lead and who are choosing to be led by you. And so we are going to talk today about three things you can do to help you level up your leadership style as we go into 2022. I do have comments turned on. If you have any questions as we go through, well, let me make sure I have comments turned on. Happy to answer any of those questions that you have. If you're catching this on the replay, drop me a hashtag replay and answer any question or ask any questions you have then, and I'll jump back in and respond to those as well. We go live every week on our YouTube channel here and on Facebook and on LinkedIn. Uh, as we look to 2022, there's three areas I want to talk about where you can start really making a difference in how to drive your leadership style up. And the first is really focus one on yourself, having some self-awareness of who you are as a leader, understanding how you come across as a leader. A lot of times the way that we think we present isn't really how we're coming across. And there's a couple of things that we can do to try and achieve that. One, I usually with my clients use a tool called the Core Values Index, which helps us understand what the drivers are of our decisions and how we act and how we show up. And when we are operating at our highest possible level of contribution as a leader to our company and to our team, what is the most comfortable way for us to show up and do that? So you can always drop in. I don't have that link in here today, clearpathcoaches.com/CVI. You can take that assessment as a free assessment to learn a bit about yourself and really understand where you're energetically aligned within your leadership style and where you best show up. And leaders always know to know where you need to compensate for your weaknesses in the team that you're building around you. That's part one, is that self-awareness. And then the rest of focus is really getting clear. And there's some time here, sometimes we have that wind down at the end of the year to focus on what are really our goals and priorities. We've probably already identified some goals for 2022, but where is it you want to show up as a leader? Getting really clear on where you want to be and where you want the company and your team to be, and then getting clear on what that looks like for you so you can start communicating those effectively to the team, to the people around you. And when you are clear on your priorities and goals, it's going to be very helpful for your team to have awareness on that as well. So if you own your own business, where you want the business to be, boldly and strongly and clearly communicating that effectively. And you'll be able to do that if you've taken the time yourself to clearly, boldly, and understand what it is that you want to be. So you don't have that second guessing, which sometimes comes in, or am I really sure this is right? Look, we can always down the road, if we find out we're going the wrong way, we can always course correct and adjust. But we have to, as leaders, have that confidence in the direction that we're leading the business. Because when we have that around confidence and clarity about where we're going to communicate that effectively and consistently. And our team will take strength from that from you as a leader. When you have clarity and confidence, that's going to project on your team and they're going to have the same. So focus, take some time over the next couple of weeks before we jump into 2022, get to know yourself better and take time to get really clear on where you want things to be as we go through 2022. The next area for you to think about in your growth as a leader is team development, getting the right people in the right seats in your organization. And that, a lot of times we don't do that. We have people who are in jobs and maybe they're not really delivering well in that job. Maybe it's just not the right fit for them. Or maybe when it was the right fit, things have changed. Our world is constantly changing. We all know that, especially, over the last few years, but it's always evolution and change. And people who are good with those skill sets that they bring to a job, maybe it's moved past where they are. Now, that doesn't mean I'm suggesting going around and, there's a time people thought I was the hatchet man. which was not the reputation I was ever going for in life. But when you start to see people who are no longer contributing at their highest possible level in their role, the first place to see is where in the organization can they contribute in the highest possible role, and try and find ways to get the right person into the right role, even if that means, hey, you served in this role for many years, but now I need you over here. And we can make those adjustments. People want to grow as well. All people want to find ways to grow. When we're sitting in a job, we've done it for a long time, sometimes complacency sets in, or we just don't have the energy for it. So move our people around, get them into the right places. And that same assessment I talked about will help us understand better where they can be most energetically aligned, where they can operate at the highest contribution to the organization. This also helps as we're bringing people into the organization. When I talk about the core values index, there's really two things that we want to look at as leaders. Is one, can you do the job? And that's the sum total of their skills and talents and training and performance over time in similarly situated roles. But then the other piece is, where are they aligned energetically with who they are to contribute at the highest possible role? Sometimes we're in a role and we can do really well at that role, but it takes a lot out of us to operate the way we need to be successful in that role. And that's when we start to see burnout. That's when we start to see performance drop off, because they just can't keep that level of energy because it's really not the right fit for them. So let's get really focused on getting people into those roles where their energy is aligned with it. We don't want to have somebody who's not really detail oriented and focused on data and history and that library of information. If that's their job, but that's not who they are, can they do it? Maybe. Are they going to enjoy it, and are they going to have energy in it? Absolutely not. So let's get people into the right roles, into the right seats where they can perform best for themselves and for you and for your business. So getting the right people, understanding your team, having those conversations about where they align, and then probing questions, especially when you're interviewing. A lot of people, I can think of people in the past where they said, I can really do that. I can really do that. And their assessment said they probably can't. And typically what I found out was, if the assessment said they couldn't, the candidate probably had some self-awareness issues. And if you hired them anyway, you're going to find out that their lack of self-awareness is going to have negative implications for your business. Get them into the place where they can be the most successful for your business, especially if you're growing and adding people into the organization. That's going to be crucial for you and for your long-term success. And then the last piece for you to focus. So we talked about focusing on yourself, building up your own self-awareness, getting clear on your goals and where you want to be over 2022. Two, building your team the right way, getting the right people in the right places where they can optimally succeed and complement where you have potentially some weaknesses, and they can buffer you up with those strengths. And then the last thing that I want you to focus on as you're thinking about growing, leveling up your leadership in 2022, is around execution. So what do I mean by execution? Well, one, it's getting really, again, it ties back to that clarity around having very clear goals, very clear, and goals are always, for me, measurable things that I can put on the graph, and priorities around projects and activities that we're going to undertake over the course of the year. So we want to make sure we have a lot of clarity around those, that those things are very well defined, because again, when we have that clarity as leaders, our team has clarity on where their priorities are and what they need to do. And by the way, leaders, that's going to allow you to delegate more effectively, so you don't have to be in the thick of it every day, all the time. But the next piece that follows on that, we can do all the greatest work in the world on putting that together for our teams. But if we are not checking in on that work, if we are not measuring progress, then we are ultimately going to find that we fail. So important is to have very focused monthly business reviews. And this could be actually the biggest thing that will drive towards your success in 2022 for your business. It's the monthly business review. And this is a focused business review. We don't get drawn off into tangents. We stay focused on performance and results. So if we are measuring and we have those clear goals and objectives, and again, goals and objectives are measurable and graphable, we are going to meet every month and check how we're performing against prior year and against plan for this year, and adjusting to forecast to say, hey, things are looking better, things are looking worse. Let's get those forecasts done. And focus here is having 5 to 7 of those that we're measuring, no more than 9, because when we have way too many things that we're measuring, we're really measuring nothing. We want to laser in on those things that make the most important impact on our business. So let's get those numbers identified. And then every month we want to review those and understand where we're at, so we can see where the future's coming, if we're going to hit our numbers, if we're going to exceed, if we're going to miss. so we can make those adjustments. And if we're meeting every month looking at that, we're going to have a better chance at success. So get in and get focused on that. The next piece that you would want to look at in that monthly business review is look at those big projects, those big priorities that you have on things that are going to get built or done over the course of the next year. We want to have a focused part of our business review that looks at progress on those projects to say, are we on time? Are we on budget? What percentage of this project is done towards the deadline that we've set? We really want to break our projects up or only have 3 projects we're trying to hit each quarter. Again, the more things we put on the plate, the harder it's going to be for us to be successful in growing our business. So what I really want to encourage you to do is have just this handful of core projects, break them up over the course of the year if you need to, but get focused on them. And every month check in. Are we on time? Are we on budget? What percentage of that project is done and what is getting in the way and who's responsible? So we can point to the table to understand who's trying to get this moving forward. And for that person to be able to raise their hand and say, I am struggling. I do need some support in these areas. That's all we focus on in these monthly business reviews. This is not a problem solving. We want to put those to the side and schedule separate meetings to get those things done. If we want to dig into why we're missing on our numbers, that's a separate meeting. I want you to stay focused every month on just performance against our measurable objectives and our projects and priorities for the business. Those 3 things, focusing on ourselves, having self-awareness and getting clear on where we want to be, building out our team with intention, getting people in the places where they can have the highest levels of success aligned with where they're at energetically. And then the last piece is to dive into the execution piece, have clear goals, have clear projects we're trying to work on, measure those every month and adjust. And I will tell you, if you can focus on those as a leader, communicate those things effectively to your team, you will level up in your leadership over the course of 2022 to get that ding to show that we leveled up. I wish I could come up with some great emoji for that, but I just don't have the tech skills for that. So I would love to talk to you more about how you can level up your leadership going into 2022. Let's schedule a quick call. Would love to talk to you more. Clearpathcoaches.com/intro call, all one word, even though it's not a word. Put that link into your browser, get some time on my calendar. I know I have some time the last week of the month. I got a pretty open calendar that week. Would love to talk to you about how you can level up your leadership in 2022. Thanks for joining. Thanks for being here, everybody. Have a great holiday. Have a great end of the year. We will be back here the second week of January, bringing back ClearPath LeaderCast. So thanks, everybody. Take care. Bye-bye.